Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joe Menza here. Thanks for clicking on to another one of my painting videos. We're going to do a nice little cloudy lake scene here. And I've already wet the paper, and I am putting on some yellow ochre, raw sienna. And I'm trying to leave a little bit of light in the center. I probably don't want that much, so I'll probably blend that in a little bit. And just coming in a little heavier, just trying to vary it up a little bit. Bring that all the way down to the bottom. As you can see, I dip my brush into the cup there and I dab it on a little paper towel so it's not too wet. Now I'm coming back in with some ultramarine blue and some Payne's gray. And just added a little bit of alizarin to that. Just give it a sort of a purpley, not quite obviously purple. We're going to have our water down toward the bottom there, so I'm leaving that open too for a little bit of reflection, just giving it a little spray to keep it open. Again, I dab my brush a little bit so there's not too much water on there. Always have a paper towel or a towel of some kind there, you can do that. I'm trying to soften these edges a little bit, but I'm going to end up going over that a little bit. And now I'm coming in with a little stronger Payne's Gray, Ultramarine Blue, and Alizarin Crimson. That's a alizarin crimson hue, by the way. Cotman colors. A little bit of yellow ochre, just to get some light kind of coming out of that area. Again, a little bit with the spray bottle just to keep it open. Taking my blending brush now, this is the small goat hair, and I'm just wetting that area a little more with the bottle. I still want to keep it less paint in that area for a little brightness, but I don't want quite as much as what's there. And I want to blend that in a little bit. The strokes are a little rough. And I'm taking away a little bit with the paper towel. And see, now we have softer edges. If that happens to you, that's something that you can do as well. Again, I'm wetting it again with the spray bottle. And just coming in again with some stronger colors as that's dried back a little bit. And we're going to put a little bit of cad yellow hue, a little bit of yellow ochre, just kind of keeping that random. Again, I'm taking my medium or small baby goat hair brush, as Frank Clark calls it, which is where I got it. It's a good brush. It's nice and soft. And you can see I've blended that now, so it's not too harsh. You can do a little bit of blending, not right away, but as it starts to dry. It's a little tricky. You don't want to make your paint look smeared. Okay, now that that's all blended together nicely, I'm going to come in with a little stronger on the Payne's Gray and Ultramarine Blue, and just a little bit of alizarin crimson, and I'm going to bring it over into the light. It's always nice when that contrasts that way. Same thing on this side. If you have like a yellow and you bring in, the stronger the colors around it is going to even make that look brighter against that. Again, I'm coming back with the baby goat hair and just doing a little bit of blending here. Now I'm coming in with a little titanium white gouache, gonna formulate some clouds here. Just blending that in. I'm ever so gently taking the goat hair brush and just blending it. If you have a soft brush, synthetic, something very, very soft, you can do blending with it. Taking a little bit of a paper towel here, sometimes that works really good too. If it's a little bit damp, you can see that creates somewhat of a three-dimensional effect, which is why I like doing it. No one else that I've seen really does anything like this. I think it's a unique look, and I enjoy it. So I'll put in a little cloud on that side. And again, blending that side. Just blending until I think it looks okay. Just right out of the tube. The brush is slightly damp. It's not completely dry. Just enough to blend it. You got to be careful because if you use too much of it, your whole painting will be white. Trying to get a little wispiness. Also, it'll dry back quite a bit, the white. So I kind of layer it on a little bit just to keep the brightness, because it'll die down about 50–60%. And so with this, I'm just getting the very tips of the clouds, their whitest. Little fluffiness. Again, more blending. As it dries, you can get a little more aggressive with it. You may not want to use white at all. You may want to leave the sky the way it was, which is fine. Now I'm going to start putting in some foliage. This is ultramarine blue with some cad yellow hue. And I'm using the small, medium size hake. I'm not sure which, but they're both very close. And I've actually changed my mind. I'm going to actually make a little hill out of this. I think it'll look better against the backdrop. Get a little more distance. This is what I call calling an audible. And we'll just bring it all the way across. Why not? Just getting a little variation in that hill. Or mountain, depending on where you live. These would be mountains where I live. I'm just bringing that down a bit. And just going to make some more hills in the front. Push that back a little bit. There's a little bit of burnt umber on the brush. I haven't washed it. The brush, that is. A little bit darker now. Coming in with a plastic card, and I'm just going to define the edges of these little forefront hills here, just to give it a little texture, a little variation. Wash my brush, dab it off a little bit, and just take some of the paint that's there and just kind of bring it across. And give it a spray. I want that to run a little bit. And then just dab off the excess with the towel. Just letting that dry for a second, and then just coming back in with a towel now and just kind of cleaning that up. Got some little dried paint here, and I'm not wanting to leave that solid, so I just gave it a little spray, open it back up. Just a little cleanup. And I've lost a little bit of the yellow reflection from the sky, so I'm just giving that another wash. So now I'm coming back to this side with the titanium white gouache again. Straight out of the tube. And coming in with my slightly damp towel. And just blending that in over the top. Now I'll come in with a little bit of foliage, nice and small, so it doesn't overpower the hills in the background. It's using the corner of the brush mostly. Again, varying it up. Going with Payne's Gray Ultramarine Blue, Cad Yellow hue. Now we're going to give it a spray, and this going to let run down a bit. Just doing some light scraping and some blending across, pulling down that paint for some reflective characteristics. Coming back with a fan brush, dry. Just getting rid of the overall harshness of that. And just touching up the little foliage that's there. Utilizing the roughness of the fan brush. Okay, now I'm going to put in a little foreground elements here. This is a very dark green, Payne's Gray. tad yellow hue. You can barely see it's very dark. Well, we want this to look closer and sort of push everything back. Kind of stuck with the fan brush here, really out of laziness because I had it in my hand. Now I'm giving that a spray, and I'm just going to pull that down. And I just flicked a little bit of water on there. You really couldn't see it. It was off camera. Just to get some little blobs of water on there to break it up a little bit. Excuse my gruff throat today. And now I'm going to put in a couple little pine trees. Same colors, a little more leaning toward the green side. I think there might have been a little burnt umber in that foreground element there. Again, just kind of working with the fan brush again. Just, you know, go for the shapes. Don't try to obsessively paint the pine tree. Just try to get that shape. Because when you look at it across the room, it's going to make sense. Little spray. Checking to see how dry that cloud top was there. Okay, I let that dry a little bit. And you can see the paint, how it has dried and run down from those pine trees there. And I'm just coming back and putting on a little more to that foreground foliage there. It lightened up quite a bit. And just making a little bit of a shoreline. I'm just taking a little bit of a rigger brush here and just sort of blending it so it doesn't look so hard. Because if I didn't, it would look closer than it should. The only reason I did that just now is I felt the horizon line was felt a little crooked. Coming in with a little bit of a card here, just trying to add a little texture to that. That card wasn't working, so bring in another card. So now I'm going to start working on this side and putting in another foreground element. again with a spray. And a couple pine trees for this side, maybe 2 or 3. I make a little bit of a line there just to give myself something to follow. It's not something you're going to see, but just to keep it straight, or sort of straight. Mixed in some cad yellow hue on there just to make the branches stand out a little bit. So just a group of 3 little pines. Those are a little bit more blobbed together than I would really prefer, but we'll get some texture out of it yet. A little spray bottle. And it'll all be okay. A little bit of cad yellow on top, and you'll start to see some branches. Just blended that a little bit with the towel. And we'll bring some of that down with the same tree colors for the trees. Give it a little spray. And now it's coming together. It looks like we've got a painting that makes some sense. Just giving a little definition to the land there. Fan brush doesn't hold a lot of water. It's really good if you want a neat paint and not a lot of water. Giving it a little spray. Just creating some horizontals there. Give it a watery look. A little more spray with the water. Just rubbing that in with my finger a little bit so it looks like it's reflecting on the water as well. I let that dry a little bit, and I did scrape in over on the right, but I didn't really like it so much, so that's not really going to stay. It's not bad, but now I'm blending these harsh lines here a little bit. And that's it. We have a painting here. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed painting it. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I thank you for watching.